327 Federal Magnum beats 9mm. This is my first in a series that I want to do here. And the reason why I make that statement is because looking back at a lot of the footage I have with 327 Federal Magnum, I am really impressed with the cartridge. It's just an excellent cartridge overall. And it seems like the one thing that 9mm usually wins at when it comes to ballistics is its penetration. But in my past test, I have noticed that 327 Federal Magnum seems to do really well. So we're going to test that today with Buffalo Bore ammunition. Both of these are outdoorsman ammunition, which basically means they're hard cast rounds. The 9mm is a 147 grain hard cast flat point, and the 327 is a 130 grain hard cast flat point. The tip of this 327 actually has a lot more surface area than the 9mm, so that's really interesting. These are rated at about 1030 to 1050, something like that, in this type of barrel length. This in a 3-inch barrel is almost 1300 feet per second, so we'll see what we actually get with these. And then one thing we're going to do, hard barrier wood penetration test. We're going to see how 327 actually does compare to 9mm, so I think that'll be a really interesting test. We'll put a couple of rounds of each and see how far these hard cast rounds penetrate. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time, and then as always I'm going to do my standard ballistic test, which is 1 3/4 inch pack of bologna covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that kind of simulates like a pectoral muscle, followed by ribs or sternum, and then 2 water jugs to catch these bullets. How this normally compares to ballistic shells, about back of jug 3 is about 15 inches typically. So we got 15, 18, 19, 21, 24 inches total comparison to ballistics gel, and I think both these might actually go through, so it'll be a really interesting test to see how they do. So let's get started with that test. All right, first up we have the 9mm. We should get somewhere around 1050 feet per second in this particular barrel length. And by the way, I didn't mention I'm using the G2C versus the 327 LCR. They both have about the same amount of barrel travel from bullet nose to muzzle, so I'm trying to just kind of do a short barreled, maybe dangerous animal defense type of a scenario here. So let's see if we get anywhere near about 1050 with this 9mm. 1073, 1041, no read. 1073, 1055, I think that read, 1045. My accuracy isn't that good. I haven't fired in over 2 weeks because of deer season, so first shots I fired in 2 weeks. I think I could do better if I was practicing a little bit more frequently, but let's see how that 327 compares. All right, 327 Federal Mag, I'm guessing about 1200 to 1225 feet per second maybe. But we'll see what we actually get. $11.95, 1241, 1213, 1225, 1213. Not too bad. It is printing a little bit high for me. I've never fired a 130 grain bullet in 327, but it's a little bit high. So let's hit the ballistic box first of all and see how these two compare to each other. All right, I just wanted to show extraction first. It is pretty sticky. You know, the one round I didn't fire comes right out. The rest of these are not wanting to move, so yeah, I got them out. So those are definitely full powered cartridges. A little bit sticky there. So let's hit the ballistic box now. All right, first up we have the 9mm. We'll see what kind of penetration we get here. Alright, definitely a lot of splashback. Looks like I got a little bit of a malfunction with that next round going in. Not too terrible though, I got it back in pretty easy. Let's see what we got. Alright, before we look at the damage, I wanted to mention that that jam was 100% on me. It was not the ammunition. I'm wearing snowmobile gloves essentially, and I noticed a big old rip in my glove right where the slide was at, and the slide was kind of stuck in my glove. So not the ammunition or the pistol's fault. It jammed. It was me. So still reliable. So let's see what we got here. as to be expected, right through this baloney pack without a ton of damage, and that's what you want to see if you want to get a lot of penetration, because you don't want to have too much damage right away, because that would mean deformation of the bullet. So here's right through the baloney pack. We're pulling denim right through, so that's really, really good. Here's through the fiberboard. It almost looks like it's tumbling a little bit there. So we'll see what we got in water jugs. All right, our first jug actually has a lot of damage for a non-hollow point bullet. That's really, really impressive. Same thing with jug 2. That is a lot of damage, which may indicate tumbling. And it does look like an oblong hole coming through these jugs. And the impact is significantly to the left on jug 3 here. See a slice in jug 4 and the slice out the side of jug 4. So that bullet is probably in that backstop. Looks like it completely missed jug 4. So after I shoot that 327, I'll try to pull that bullet out, but it's kind of hard to tell what kind of penetration we got. All I can say is in a straight line we got about 18 inches comparison to ballistic shell, and then it zipped out the side. So we can definitely call that it's tumbling. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know, but we'll try the 327 and see how that compares. 327 Federal Magnum. We'll see how this compares to the 9mm. All right, this has kind of a similar looking thing going on. Looks like it may have hit this fiberboard and tumbled a little bit. And through the baloney pack, it looks pretty similar. A little bit of denim coming through. Not too bad. So let's see what we got in water jugs. All right, our first jug looks very similar to the 9mm. Pretty centered hit. Jug 2, definitely drifting a little bit to the right instead of the left. Interesting, I see something here. This is part of something. Impact on 3, very far to the right. Impact on 4. There's a dent on 5, and the bullet is actually in the box. And jug 5 is leaking, but it looks like it did bounce off jug 5, so that is going to indicate about 19 inches in comparison to ballistic gel. So that big front, flat front, did slow it down a little bit. All right, I found that 9mm just kind of leaning against the backstop there. So pretty much it came up the side of jug 4, hit the side of the box, stopped in the backstop. The 327 came out jug 4 as well, but rather than hit the box and skirt on back to the backstop, it just more or less stopped. So about the same. Interesting though, because the 9mm was significantly drifting to the left and the 327 significantly drifting to the right. So very comparable overall. So let's hit the wood pack and see how that compares. All right, first up we have the 9mm. This wood pack might slide back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to significantly affect the outcome. So let's see how 9mm does. All right, it slid back a few inches. Hit it again. All right. All right, 327 Federal Mag. We'll see how this does. Interesting. All right, let's take that thing apart. All right, you heard me say interesting, and that is because the impacts on the 327 are starting to tumble immediately, as were the 9mm. They made nice clean holes. And just for a reference, I'm going to mention that typically when I do a wood penetration test, stuff like 380 or 38 plus P stop at about the second board, 357 mag, maybe about the third. So just as a reference. So here we are, right through the first one. Second board. Front of the second board, all four went through. Third board. Aha. So the third board, this is what I expected judging from what we saw on the impacts. The third board stopped the 327 but did not stop the 9mm. That's totally to be expected. And board 4 almost coming out the back of board 4. So we have a full extra board that the 9mm went through. I don't think I can open that up, but they are in there. And we have dents on board 5 with the 9mm, so we can definitely call it that this particular load penetrates further with 9mm, but that's not surprising based on the bullet shapes. So very interesting overall. Now I will say something about the 9mm. On Buffalo Bore's website they actually mentioned how somebody stopped a charging grizzly bear with that 9mm load out of a 4-inch Smith & Wesson pistol. So honestly, with the reliability of 9mm, for me, I would probably pick 9mm over 10mm. And if we put it in a longer barrel like a Beretta, we'd probably have much more significant penetration in effect. So I think this is a pretty good 9mm round. Now the 327, we saw both rounds, or both tests I should say, the bullets tumbled. They tumbled in the soft penetration, they tumbled in the wood penetration test. So even though it's a good hard cast round, you know, I think it's more something that might do a little bit better damage for like hunting a deer or something than the 9mm, but the 9mm in this test is going to be more suitable for maybe bear protection. I think both would work though. So that's what you get today with the Buffalo Bore Hardcast 9mm and 327. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.